Hello, I'm Desiree, and I'm going to be talking about the intro and conclusion aspects out of the three videos that we watched. So, for introduction, what really stood out to me were some of the concepts he went over, such as when you begin, you either start with a question, a shock factor, a story, a promise, or a technique slash action that you could present to the audience. Now, out of those, what I really want to implement in the future, and especially when doing our oral presentation for our story and coming up with our thesis and such, I really like between the question and the story. The reason why I like these two out of all of the ones that were suggested in the introduction were because a question really reflects on what the speaker is bringing towards the audience. It is reflecting what I'm going to take out of a presentation and what I'm going to take out of a speech. And I feel that when presenting, that's what you want the audience to have. You want them to take away something from what you're speaking about or learn something from you, reflecting back to the idea that this presentation isn't about you personally, but it's about what you could bring to the table. And I feel that that question really allows that reflection time. Secondly, I really like the story aspect, and I'm a little bit biased for the story aspect just because I'm a sucker for a really good story. I really enjoy hearing about people's lives, their personal experiences, how they deal with certain consequences or issues that have come up in their life, and they use that to make their point. And for some reason, I think that a story is something that really resonates just with humans in general, just because we tend to really listen to what happens in people's lives. We tend to really enjoy gossip. We like to hear about different things that have nothing to do with us. And so when a presenter comes forth with a story, I feel that it really grabs someone's attention because it's kind of like, oh, what are they talking about? What does this have to do with what they are presenting? And so I feel that the story aspect kind of ties into that question aspect of what is the presenter bringing forth? Now, for the conclusion, he talked about recap, action, and punchline. And out of those three, what I really liked is the punchline. Just because I took psychology and there's a psychological thing where you tend to remember the end of something more than the beginning of something. And what our psych class gave an example of is a baseball game. You could have a really boring baseball game and have a really impactful end of the game. Something kind of relatable is the Knicks game that just happened where they made that really crazy shot right at the buzzer. I think it was like at 1.2 seconds. And even though it was a pretty average game, it was pretty close. That last moment made the entire game worthwhile versus having a really incredible game at the start and ending off at something that's pretty normal, pretty average, um, a big difference within the score. It's kind of like, oh yeah, go figure, they're playing pretty bad. But like the Knicks game and like the psych baseball game example that I was given in my class, the ending really makes a difference. And so I feel that that punchline allows something to be super relatable and memorable. So that's something that I'd want to implement. Now, going to the TED Talk, some of the things that I noticed out of these concepts were he used a shock factor. He talked about something that was super taboo. He went in the video talking about genital size and such, and so that had the audience thinking, what the heck is this guy discussing? So he used the shock factor for his introduction, and then he tied it into sleep deprivation and his point. And for the end, he kind of gave an action, which is or action and also something to reflect on. So I would say also probably a recap. And he did this by talking about how you wouldn't sit at the dinner table waiting to be hungry. Same way, you would apply sleeping and laying in bed. You're not going to lay in bed waiting to be sleepy. And so that kind of ties into the recap slash piece of advice slash kind of that action where it makes you reflect, okay, I'm not going to lay in bed all day waiting to be sleepy. I'm going to go out and do something and then come to bed, sleepy and tired, ready for the next day. And so I would say those are some of the things that he implemented from the other videos. And something I definitely want to try out for my upcoming thesis. Thank you.